Welcome to another episode of I Start First podcast for boss babes who start. And guess what? There is no brand without branding. So I could think of anybody better than Brenda to tell us all about branding. Are you confused yet? Just kidding. But you will not want to miss this episode. You definitely want to get a paper, pencil, listen in. Thousands of dollars worth of training coming at you with branding expert, business extraordinaire, someone who built her business from 0 to 8 figures. Now she's an advisor, a consultant. You definitely want to listen to this. All about branding with Brenda Mendez. Hi, loves. Welcome to I Start First podcast, the show for boss babes who start. Ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alenka Cullinan, founder of I Start First, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes off the ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to uplevel your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of I Start First podcast. And I have a treat for you today because if you do anything in life, including being yourself, it's essentially being a brand. You are your own brand 24/7. So whether you run a business or you are just representing yourself in this world, you need to realize that it comes with branding guidelines, with branding standards, and who you are and who you're being is representing something about you 24/7, 365. So my guest today is none other than an amazing boss diva, a branding queen herself, a red wearing, totally dominating in the branding world, Brenda Mendez.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here and share knowledge, and I want to thank you for having me on here and spreading the knowledge to all these boss babes out there.
Yes, we have a lot of ladies listening from all over the country, so we will obviously give you all the information to connect with Brenda. But Brenda, tell them your story a little bit. I mean, I know it. You kind of build yourself up from the ground up, but share with the ladies, what did it take to become a branding diva?
Let's see, how far back do you want to go?
As far as you want, girl. I mean, you give them Cliff Notes version, obviously, because I want to ask you a lot of questions too.
So let's just say I was born in Mexico and came here with my family, single mother of 5. And so from the very beginning, I went towards the American dream. Education was everything for us, no way to get out of what I would call now where I grew up, the hood. And so I graduated in the top 2% of my high school. I went to ASU and studied accounting because it was the most secure job out there. The job outlook was very prominent. And so that made my mom really happy to go into accounting world. And so I graduated from ASU, the business school, in just 3 years. I'm always setting the bar. I'm always pushing myself. And so right after that, I said, I want to make money as fast as I can and help my mama because she has always worked so hard to help all 5 kids of us. And so I went into accounting, one of the biggest accounting firms in the world, Deloitte, and I worked there for a while. A while means no more than a year because that is when I realized that is not what I wanted to do. I was able to see the path, and I set even goals of being the youngest Hispanic female partner, and that is the route I wanted to go. And I was ready, and I said, ready, set, go. And then I said, pause. This is not what I want to do. And so my biggest concern was breaking the news to my mom because it was one less child to worry about. That she was guaranteed a job forever. Taxes aren't going to go anywhere, right? So it was really hard to say, you know what, I'm more creative. I don't want to be in this box. I love the opportunity. I love corporate America. I think it's not for everybody, but there's a lot of opportunity there. And I learned a lot, but I said, I want to learn some more. I want to challenge myself because coming from that challenging background that I always put myself in, I said, I am more creative. Let's go into marketing. I have no idea about marketing, but I know I remember taking a class in the business school. And so I decided to join a marketing agency for about three years. And I learned so much. I was able to go from client to client, exercise my creativity along with my accounting background. And so I was very analytical, very organized in that way, and I loved it. And right after that, I decided to take another leap of faith and join the CEO of this great, really fast growing company, a startup in Phoenix, Arizona called Snow. And I would argue it's one of the fastest e-commerce brands online, growing the way it did. And so I helped start that company, and it went from zero to 100 real fast, zero to eight figures in
Wow.
3 years. And so that learning curve was so challenging for me. I learned so much. I started doing everything at the beginning to be very lean in a startup, super bootstrap, no outside funding. And I ended up doing a lot of the operations. So I learned all that. And just last year, I decided to take a step down and say, let me do another leap. It's about that time, right? To do another challenge. And so I stepped down, and I'm just an advisor and partner in the company Snow. And now I do my own consulting and branding. And what I really love is helping e-commerce brands grow to that growth, and be able to go in and say, these are the mistakes that I learned along the way. Let me help you. Let me save you another year or millions of dollars of the mistakes that I remember doing. And I just love growing brands in
Yeah.
the branding category.
Wow, girl, you're definitely on a fast track. It looks like about every 1 to 3 years, you're setting yourself for a new challenge. I love it. I love it. But I mean, that's the thing. You keep stepping in and stepping up and stepping into your power and going, you know what? I gave it my all. I go on a fast track. I hit it really hard. I deliver results, and then I move on to the next one. And I love that. It's an amazing track. And so, ladies, I want you to, if I really want you to notice that pattern, because one of the things that Brenda is so one of the reasons Brenda is so successful is because you're not afraid to pivot. Every time you see something new and you see a new opportunity, you weren't afraid to leave. You were afraid, I'm sure there is some fear with it, but you're doing it anyways, right? You are showing up anyways. And so that ability to pivot, ladies, is what really gets you to the next step. It's really becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable and stepping in your fear and being afraid and doing it anyways. So talk to them a little bit about, like, I know you're an extraordinary branding specialist, but tell them a little bit more, like, what are your ideal clients specifically on e-commerce? For some people, it's a very new kind of area, very new field. So talk a little bit more about like what specifically is e-commerce and like what's digital branding and things like that. Like, what are some of your specialties?
Yes. So I love looking at an e-commerce brand. So it's selling products online, and so any brand that's going out there, who I love to work with is industry disruptors and innovators. And I love looking holistically at a brand and saying, let me see how you are different and how I can help you be different than your competitors. And also being able to make a change not only in the customer and but also in their industry. And what I love to do in the branding aspect is the customer experience, the journey of that customer. And so I'm able to really step into the shoes of their customers and see, what are you missing? Let's see the website experience. Are they getting the best one? Are they being educated? Down to the fulfillment center, the customer service. How are we treating them? Let's call your customer who spends more than the average order value of the rest of the customers. Call them up and say, hey, I love thank you for supporting. Is there any feedback I can get from you? Here's free product. Here's 20%. Because they become your ambassadors as well for the brand. They're already loyal. So building that brand equity with the customers as well. And so that journey keeps going all the way to how they receive the packaging. So I'm very detail oriented, and I also help develop the products and the customer experience at Snow. And so what I love to help these brands do, it's saying the unboxing experience. And now that social media is so big and everything is so shareable, my goal is to have a shareable, Instagrammable product. So how is that experience for the customers when they unbox it? Do they get a little postcard saying thank you for the purchase? Your next purchase is 20% off. So then there's a little marketing aspect to it. What I really love is increasing the value to the customer through branding.
I love it. No, it's so, so good. And what are some common misconceptions you see? Because I mean, I know that, yes, you do work with some really experienced companies, but you also work with some newbies, people who are maybe just, coming out of the gates and they're just sort of setting up that foundation for their customer experience, for their branding. What are some not misconceptions maybe, but like the biggest mishaps that brands have that you have noticed that they struggle with?
So I work with a lot of different levels, like you said, and I love coming into when they're about to launch because it's a free canvas, but also, so I work both ways where it's like they're barely launching. So let's look at the branding, and then coming in at a different level of already huge company and saying, let's go backwards and work through that branding. So one of the misconceptions or something that they overlook is that branding, it's, I would say at its core, what makes the company, and it's almost like a compass to the company where everything has to be aligned to what you're doing based on your brand. So I work with some companies that say, oh, let's change the color because maybe it's going to look better in this product when we're doing the product launch. And I say, no, let's stay consistent. So not staying consistent is one of the overlooked factors to a brand. So I say we have to understand, when I come in, I'm like, where's your branding Bible? So I call it the Bible, where it's like, let's keep going back. Everything that you do, let's go back to your branding guidelines and make sure we're following that. So whether you're launching a Facebook ad, the fonts, the color, the branding, the way you're portraying the message to that customer on Facebook could be different than LinkedIn, but still staying with that same tone, same color, same message. The packaging as well, is it too kiddish? Is it too pink? Is it off brand? So
there is no such thing as too pink,
right? Not as, yeah, of course not to you, right? It's like, is it pink or is it light pink, right? So making sure that we stay on brand, and it's very it's almost like daydreaming to a customer. Is like, what does that mean when I just want sales? And it's very transactional. But I feel like that brand guideline as your Bible, everything that you do should be based on that and stay consistent.
Well, and I mean, naturally, my next question to you, since you brought up brand Bible a few times, why is it even important? I mean, I'm sure there are new companies that are listening and ladies who are about to launch their businesses, or maybe their early stages, or maybe even companies are, products that are already out there, and they're going, well, you know what? I have to worry about sales. I have to worry about marketing. Like, why is branding even important? Because I mean, it looks okay. It looks presentable, right? Like, who cares? Does it have to be top notch? What does it do for your business?
So it will open doors, and it will, if you're not consistent with your branding, you're confusing the customer. And so you're losing that customer loyalty, and you're confusing customer. And so you're shutting all these opportunity doors down the line, where if you're an e-commerce store, and you don't build that brand equity and that brand loyalty, and you're not growing it, and you're all over the place, and you're confusing customers, you're not going to have the attention that you want maybe from retailers down the line, where they're you know what, this brand is so deep rooted in what they do. And again, being an industry disruptor, where they're able to make changes, make something different. And this is also going back to what it's overlooked or misconception. It's not only about the product. So being a brand industry disruptor, you can't go all over the place. And so consistent. And the product you sell is a byproduct. So I always tell the brand, you're selling a lifestyle. Whatever product it is, you're not really selling the product. The product has to be the best, but how are you really evoking emotion to a customer for them to buy? Because customers buy based on emotion, not really of the product. The product is going to be good, and you're going to get the customer loyalty if it is good. But it's also saying, I don't only sell luggages, I sell a travel aspirational lifestyle, right? And so conveying that message of saying, I just don't sell flowers, I sell happiness through smelling this product. Flower. So it's a lifestyle brand.
I love it. No, that is so good. I mean, you sell experiences. It's. I hope you ladies take notes because yes, she is literally giving you thousands of dollars worth of training right now. You might want to save this episode. If you're watching us on YouTube, definitely save it in your library so you can go back and rewatch it because literally Brenda is giving you all the branding guidelines you really need to have a successful company and to start it from the beginning. Or maybe if you're already midway and you're now listening and realizing, wow, like I am missing on some customer experiences. And maybe I have never really talked to my audience and never talked to my customers. So I don't even know if they're having experiences or what am I portraying when I'm online, because sometimes, and we've all seen that, where you go on someone's page, and especially like Brenda mentioned earlier, everything needs to be Instagrammable nowadays.
Yes.
You go to the pages of some products or some businesses and you're like, I have no idea what you're doing or who you are, because it's like having a mismatched outfit, right? Where nothing is aligned and nothing comes together. So you have to be very, very careful because you're literally losing money by missing out on some aspects of branding that she's talking about. So I mean, Brenda, going through, moving here by essentially with your family, but kind of starting everything from scratch, now going to the point where you're consulting. Obviously, none of it just comes overnight. And you put a lot of work in yourself and creating that mastery. Is there ever times where you're like, you know what? I mean, going from 0 to 8 figures, it's crazy. Is there time, basically, how do you get yourself through times when it's just like, you know what, I can't take another rejection, I can't take another client messing things up and not listening and doing all kinds of crazy? Because I mean, with owning the space you're in, there's also obviously there's competition, there is dealing with all kinds of clients. How do you get through days when it's like, I just can't do it anymore?
Well, that's like every day, right? There's more days like that rather than like the other fun.
Right.
But we all do what we do because we love it, right? And
Right.
I hope we all do at one point have that chance. How do I get through those days? Well, honestly, it goes right back to my mom and knowing that she never complained. One thing that I did see and learn from her growing up is the work ethic that she has. It's impeccable and it's unmeasurable to anybody else that I know because she never complained and she worked a physical labor job and sometimes it was in really bad conditions and it was just like 12-hour days standing, her feet would hurt. And for me to sit on a desk with AC and on a computer, like I have it made. Like, why am I complaining? So I go back and knowing that my mom worked so hard to give us what we have. And so I have this opportunity and I just can't be lazy. I cannot be motivated because she motivates me. And that work ethic will always stick to me. And it's just, I have such a huge competitive towards myself. And that's how I stay focused, and that's how I keep raising that bar towards myself. And so going back to my mom.
Yeah, no, I love it. So true. And I mean, honestly, for those ladies who are listening, it really comes down to good old work ethics. I mean, I know we are bombarded with Instagram that tells us that everything is overnight success and everything you do is insta served and you should be able to, build your brand in 3 days. But the reality, it's exactly what Brenda said. It goes back to my mom too, who, was running a company for 37 years. And I've seen her go through all kinds of crazy situations. It is really down to how much do you love it? Do I have a work ethic to keep showing up? And, do you have resources? And you do. I mean, just the fact that, like Brenda said, we have desks and we're in air conditioned facilities and we can go work in a coffee shop and we can collaborate because we have internet available to us. I mean, imagine what we did when we didn't have Wi-Fi and we didn't have capabilities like this. So yeah, it's so true. And I love it. And the fact that, you recognize that even on your, hardest days, you still have that why. And the fact that you're so passionate about it, like you said, I hope you all have a chance to do what you really love. And for you, if you're listening and you're evaluating your life right now, really go back to that. It's almost like building a brand, right? You go right back to your branding Bible, which is what it's like to be you, who you really are. Take a really hard look at yourself and decide on things that make you happy and make you passionate. Because one thing Brenda pinpointed so beautifully is the fact that it's going to be hard. Most
Yeah.
of your days are not going to be peachy. You're not going to be excited and you're not going to be loving it. But on those hard days, the one thing that moves you through is, am I passionate about this? Does this come from my heart? Like, I wanted to quit building many times or walk away, and I swear it's like universe playing a joke on me, or God, or whatever higher power is out there. Is I get a message from a woman who will say, oh my gosh, I loved your podcast, or I love your last video, or you changed my life with your event.
A disservice to those
Yeah.
people. And so
Yeah.
have a mental no of all the people that believe in you, all the people that you're changing their lives, and say, I need to continue to do this because it's a disservice to the world to hide who I am and all the people that I can help. And so
Yes.
people are going to say, thank you for not giving up. And it's like, this is why I'm not giving up, because I'm helping other people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so, I mean, it's so, so true. Yes. It's if you, that's what you said earlier too, that I loved when you said it's not about transaction. It's
Yeah.
not about being transactional. It's about truly being off service and bringing that service and empowering more people to deliver. So yeah, you're obviously doing an amazing, amazing job with that. So now for maybe brands who are still like in that process of figuring out, or some of the newbies who are listening and ladies who are maybe sitting on their product and they're just trying to figure out what is that supposed to look like, be like, feel like, what would you give them, like maybe 2 or 3 things that like a must have for any brand if they're like brand new and just starting out?
I would say hone in on the authenticity that you are translating to the customer. And so with that said, is like being super transparent and like serving over an email or over DM, like every DM, like every comment on everybody that engages with your brand. And so like honing in on those customers that love you already, or thinking about like, I want to be the best at what I do, whether it's service or product, and saying, I'm going to give each customer that gives me their money, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to give them the best experience. So authenticity, being authentic, and not really like, people can sense if you're scammy. People can sense if this is a bad product. It's spending time on having a right product, right messaging, being super communicative with the customer is going to pay off so much more than just a transaction that is just one time, instead of a customer that's a longer lifetime customer. And again, free word of mouth referrals, or Instagrammable free organic marketing for you is gonna make your brand that much more bigger at starting up. And so having those core values, and also honing down on what are your core values as a company. And so my core values would be, if I was selling a product, it was like, again, authenticity, loyalty, and delivering the best experience to the customer. And so knowing as a brand, always, no matter what happens, sticking to those core values. And once you get bigger and bigger, it's going to be, you become a brand saying no to the things that aren't in line with who you are. Because there's going to be a lot of opportunities as you grow, and being super honed in on those core values is going to help you stay on brand by saying no more often than yes to opportunities. And that's going to give you who you are. That's going to let customers know. Like, if this product ends up being so big 10 years later and it's a high-end product, and we say yes to Walmart because it's exciting and it's a huge distribution opportunity, that's being dishonest to your brand. And so being honest to yourself and to the customers.
I love it. Oh, wow. All of these are just such incredible gold nuggets. And yes, that saying no, I cannot stress this enough, because honestly, everybody's going to get opportunities. And once your brand starts, getting traction, and like Brenda mentioned, the organic marketing starts coming in, there'll be people asking for collaborations, there'll be people asking for promotions, and it happens all the time. And your no's are going to be just important, if not more important than yeses, because wrong collaborations and wrong promotions can actually severely and significantly impact your brand in a negative way. I've had experiences of that early on where I would just align with something that is not. I since have learned, that it's definitely not worth it, essentially, and I was talking to someone yesterday who is a marketer, and she said, it's mind blowing to me what people will do for 10% off, where in reality, they lose 10% base of their customers, which is impacting them so strongly financially. And yet they're promoting some random stuff that doesn't align with them for some 10% off, which is like $2.35 if it's a significant value product, so it's not cheap. And she's like, if you're going to save $6 and lose 10% of your following organically, it's definitely like, look at the numbers and look what you're doing for sure. So, and I think to me too, it's like deciphering, like you said. I'm so glad you brought up the core values, because I may have hobbies. Like Olinka is not just I Start First, right? Like I post my workouts, I post my puppy, but it's not my core value, right? So when I just recently got approached by a brand that was very respectable, and they wanted me to be an ambassador for their women's life line of workout clothing, I said no, not because I couldn't, but it's not a core value of my business. So if I all of a sudden add this, even though it's my hobby, it's like another layer to me. You have to be very careful what your core values are for your brand, because it wasn't.
You don't want to confuse your following, right? There you go.
You can probably explain it better than me why it's not a good idea, but it's that. Yes, it's absolutely confusing the customer and, creating all kinds of misalignment. And so you definitely have to live and breathe by your core values. I love the fact that you brought it up. So now in terms of, I love all of the points that you mentioned. So in terms of, working on branding, I think part of the misconception and sort of like part of the hesitation, I would say, to bring someone on like you is the fact that it like, obviously everything requires investment, and branding should be no different. But I think sometimes the misconception is I should spend more money on marketing and less money on branding. Can you address that?
Yes. So if you don't hone in, or you don't understand your brand, or all that stuff that I mentioned, you end up making more expensive mistakes because you're throwing money into a black hole, not knowing, staying on brand. And so it becomes a lot more expensive to fix it, a lot more expensive to just trial and error and like throw money everywhere and like, hopefully this works, and we're off brand and customers are confused, or people don't really understand what you do, what you sell, or it's not anything different, or the customer experience is nowhere near what they ever experience. And so you're end up gonna make such a big investment, the wrong investment, if you don't go back to your core values, or like, how should we say this message? And you're just throwing a dart in dark, is just going to cost you a lot of money if you don't understand who you are and what you're trying to do and your why and all that.
Yeah. Oh God. So true. Absolutely. Yes. The money pit that your marketing can become when you don't have your brand figured out and your audience figured out and you're not authentic is crazy. So I can give you countless examples. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars until you go back. There is a reason they say go back to the basics. And to me, branding is one of the basics. And it's just somehow seems to be like flying under the radar, because I feel like the big brands like Nike or Adidas, they get it. And they come out straight out of the gate going, no, we have to get the branding nailed before we do any ads, before we do anything else. And I feel that with smaller companies, because nobody really emphasizes branding that much, they're like, well, as long as we get marketing figured out. But you're marketing to everyone and anybody. Yeah. And that's where the mistakes come in. So I'm so glad that you are in this arena, that you're doing this, and the fact that you just mentioned that it's such a huge distinction to really understand the difference. So I know that there are ladies who are taking notes with all the golden nuggets, like I said, all the hundreds and dollars worth of training you're giving away. But I know there are some of them who are listening and they maybe got the brand on point and they maybe love doing that exact thing, or they want to learn more. So if there is a boss babe out there who wants to be just like Brenda, what would be one advice you would give her?
I would say, other than start first, right?
Yes, other than that.
Trust yourself. Always trust yourself. Take that chance on yourself and dream bigger. Like really dream bigger and challenge yourself, just like I have always been challenging myself, because not even you don't understand your potential, and your potential is so big that once you start tapping into it, you're going to condition yourself and condition your behavior and build habits of challenging yourself. And so it's not going to get easier. Whatever you do is going to get harder, but you're going to get better. And so trust yourself, take the leap, and take more challenges and dream bigger.
I love it. I love it. I literally just got goosebumps on that. It's so good. Yes, it's going to get harder, but you're going to get better. That's pretty much the perfect one-liner for running any business and scaling it and growing it. But I love everything you stand for. And it's so, so true. Just keep challenging yourself, keep stepping into that. And yes, that power you have is actually unlimited. So if you're going to keep stepping into it, it's just going to grow and open up even more. So Brenda, thank you so much. Honestly, you know how much I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for sharing invaluable information, ladies. What she gave you, like you just saved yourself a few thousand in consultation fees. So like I said, bookmark this podcast. We absolutely are going to include Brenda's Instagram on here and whatever other information. So reach out to her. She's probably one of the biggest hearted people that I know. She can work from you anywhere in the country, really anywhere in the world.
I'm in LA right now, so I'm everywhere.
Yes, she's everywhere. So thank you so much, Brenda. I loved it, and so much appreciation for you.
Thank you so much, and for having such amazing platforms and community of boss babes. And I just can't thank you enough. And I worked with you, you changed my life, and you pushed me harder. You pushed me off the edge, and so now I'm flying. And so
yes.
Thank you. Thanks for always being my support system.
Thank you so much. You're awesome. Thank you so much for listening to I Start First podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at IStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.